Hey y'all, maybe I'll sound a little bit better for this recording than I did last time. My cough is a little less. I mean, it's still there. This is a booger. This is one that a lot of people have reported to me having very similar symptoms all around the nation, maybe even across the seas, but definitely all across the nation. A lot of people have this, what they're calling a unique strain of the flu, and nobody saw it coming, all that stuff. Just to be funny, on that note, I might have to mention this. Sorry for all the people out there that have been struggling with Winter Storm Cora. I must admit that Cora has not been bad for me. It's been kind of nice. I have I've been kind of enjoying taking it easy. Most people where I work have decided to stay at home. Work has come down to a standstill, and my role, as my role usually is these days, is to just observe and report. Maybe that's what my YouTube channel should be too. Just observe and report all the weirdness of reality. In the past, I've had jobs where I had to do much more. Get out there with the shovel and salt and make sure everything gets done right. But in this job, I'm more of a observe and report kind of person. So that's fine. I'm not complaining at all about that. I enjoy that I can just watch everybody do their thing. And it wasn't really a bad storm for us here. We had a little bit of snow, but not really a lot of ice, and it wasn't nearly as bad as what it could have been. Now, keep in mind, ever since reality did its thing, ever since I realized just how changeable, malleable, fluid reality is around me, I don't see I don't see the same things that other people see. Like, I don't see coincidences like I used to see coincidence. I don't see acts. There's like meaning in everything, and I see the strings being pulled behind reality. I acknowledge it, and I also consider the possibilities when I never would have thought it to be a possibility before, but now I stop and pause and wonder. I don't see time as fixed. I don't see it as linear, and I don't see timelines or realities as singular. I see the possible plurality and the intertwining of realities. So for this winter storm, and where I'm going with this is, I was asked to stay close to the facilities and observe and report and be nearby. So the company offered to put me in a hotel so that I wouldn't have to drive, because I told them, if it looks like it's going to be dangerous, there's just no way I can be here. So they put me in a nice hotel, and I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for the nice hotel they put me in. And I'm familiar with this hotel. I've been familiar with this hotel for a long time. But when I went to talking about the hotel, I found myself being drawn to a different name. I wanted to call it a different name. And the side of me that understands that reality can change and be bendable and flip flop around caused me to wonder if maybe there's a timeline where this hotel's name is slightly different. Let me show you. So I stayed at the Fairmont Hotel. And as you can see here, there's an old postcard, and they're referring to it as the Fairmount Hotel. And I pulled this up after the fact because I kept finding myself wanting to call it the Fairmount. And I knew it was the Fairmont, but I was like, why am I wanting to refer to it as the Fairmount? It just seems so natural. It seems so right. And it does cause me to wonder, is this thing perhaps a Fairmount hotel in another reality that's close by? I found it interesting that just up the road, less than a mile, is another hotel on 3033 Fairmount Street. Of course, there's a trigger number there, and Fairmount Street is so close to the Fairmont. And there's a hotel at that address. There's another hotel at that address at the Fairmount Street. And then, of course, there's this Fairmont that was accidentally called the Fairmount. And that's all possible. I can see that happening just in a singular timeline even. But as I started to look at all the hotels around the nation that could be called Fairmont or Fairmount, I found a lot of hotels that were called both. And then it just started to even change on me, so I lost track of it. I couldn't keep track anymore of what the actual hotel was called. Because there's Fairmonts and Fairmounts all over the nation. And the problem is they're referring to the same hotel, but sometimes the link is saying Fairmount and sometimes it's saying Fairmont. And it's almost as reality itself was just blending on me as I saw hotels being referred as both Fairmont and Fairmount. And there was this fluid blending that I'm so used to seeing and coming across. So this shouldn't be right at all. This Library of Congress for the Fairmount shouldn't exist because it's actually the Fairmont. But it's hard to keep up with when things are bouncing around on you. It's really, really odd. All right, this one's just funny. It's never too late because I'm in my mid-50s now, so this is the way I'm thinking about things. Ray Kroc joined McDonald's at 52. Henry Ford started Ford at 40. Harlan Sanders started KFC at 65. Richard Samela, he won an argument with his wife at 54. Good job. And he's the winner of it all. I can relate to that one. That one's just classic. So anyway, I found this waffling back and forth on Fairmont. I found that Fairmount really should be the correct name because it goes back to like the days when people rode on the horse all the time rather than cars, and a Fairmount. Somehow along the way, people started just shortening it to Fairmont, and that's how you get the term even Fairmont. So Fairmont is linked to Fairmount. So it all makes sense from that historical explanation and timeline. But I had to dig in because I was staying at this Fairmont, I mean, nice hotel. Wasted a lot of money on just having me here just to report on weather conditions. While I was there in this room, I decided to watch this movie. And if you're familiar, it's trending high on Netflix right now. So if you're familiar with this, you might want to chime in. Dallas Buyers Club. So appropriate because that's exactly where I was. That's the background I'm looking out right now. That's the area that I'm in with this hotel and everything. So I watched this, and it's a movie. So if you haven't seen it, if you want to watch it first, then don't listen to me talking about it. But so this thing came from 2013. This movie has been around from 2013, and while I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking, I mean, set aside all the drama that they tried to force about homosexuality and people's views on homosexuality. There was a lot of focus on that, but the bigger message and the holy crap, how come I didn't know about this movie in 2020 and 2021? This is a total, one that relates to the motivations of big pharma, who answers to who owns who. You got big pharma owning the FDA and owning the doctors, and the doctors taking orders from them, and then of course there's people owning the big pharma, and it just goes up and up and up. But of course the movie makes it all about simply money and profits. Now, we know that there's more to it than that. There's larger larger agendas at foot. But the whole movie was about the HIV and AIDS back in the 80s and how the corruption of the system was, and they would let people die and disregard scientific reports and push their own fake reports and their fake. So, all of this, brings back memories, recent memories. In that movie, there's a doctor who loses her job over it. She loses her career because she wants to fight for people to not be forced with the solution that Big Pharma was pushing on them. And so I'm thinking about all the people in my world that lost careers and fought so hard against the system and against the corruption. And anyway, I'm really kind of quite amazed that this movie is even being allowed to show on Netflix. But that's what we have. We have this movie here playing on Netflix, and I wondered if there's some discussions about this and the connection to the last few years, and there are some interesting connections. This one was posted in 2021 December, and this person's responding to another person who was linking all kinds of ties of this movie and Fauci. And this person says, talking about all the connections to Fauci and his wife and the power and the money and all the crap. But here's the thing that amazes me is, like, back when I was really spending a lot of time looking for the connections and the conspiracy behind the events of 2020 and 2021, I had not heard of this movie before. And my crazy mind and the way I see reality is I wouldn't be surprised if this didn't exist for me back then. I bounced into this timeline where this movie actually all of a sudden exists, or it got edited and inserted into our reality, because I never heard of it, and I should have come across somebody talking about this movie when I was doing all that, when I was getting my channel in a lot of trouble with YouTube back then. But who knows? It's just something I could have missed. No big deal. Whether it was see, that's just it. It doesn't matter either way. It doesn't matter whether or not it's something I just didn't know about and nobody talked about, or nobody talked about it around me. It doesn't matter. Or if it was just another timeline and I've just now find this timeline merging with it and bringing it in. It really doesn't matter. But the fact that I see reality like this and I see stuff like this, and it doesn't faze me at all to consider that this could be a new addition to my experience with this matrix in this timeline. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. That's basically just the update that I wanted to bring to you. I saw this posted somewhere, and I thought it was a good idea. This several restaurants in this, it's another country, but they do this. If people want to buy a meal or a coffee for somebody else, they just pay extra, and the restaurant puts it on the board. And if somebody doesn't have money, they just grab it and go ahead and they just, here you go, I'll take one of these. But I don't know. It's an act of kindness that I thought was kind of cool. I could see it getting abused pretty bad too, especially the people here around me in Dallas. I could see I could see people who shouldn't be asking for handouts getting. I see it all the time. So that's the only sad thing is a lot of people are just looking for a handout, especially these days. And I'll share this with you about being a intelligent employee at work. I thought this was kind of true. Number one, they cheat on their job with a side hustle. Yep, I have no problem with somebody having and creating side hustles to better themselves, not be dependent on one source of income. They treat everybody as equal, including the cleaners. Yeah, and I manage cleaners, so I get that. They rebel against micromanagement and dictator leaders, and that I would agree with. They know when to say no to a meeting. I wish I could get away with saying no to a lot of meetings. Unfortunately, the micromanagement dictator above me would, have something to say to me about that. They help others advance in their career. I've always tried to do that with people. They don't respond to most emails. I practice that too, and sometimes, with the criticisms that I've received, I was wondering, have I done something wrong? But I feel like senseless responding when it doesn't have to be responded to is just it just creates noise and chatter and junk and clogs the system. So I don't reply. You just don't ever see me replying just with simple thank you so much or any of that stuff. I got the message received. I don't need any, I mean, if you really need to know that I received it, then you can send an email with a confirmation that says that I received it. But if you haven't sent that, I don't feel the need to say thank you and all that other blah blah fluff that everybody around me seems to do. And it just feels like I'm in high school with a bunch of teenagers when I see that crap. I don't like it. So I like that this kind of validates my stance on responding to every stinking little email. They stay away from gossip and corporate politics. Yes, I can't agree more that it does. I've fallen into that many times in my life, and I see the sickness behind it. They create passive income, so if they get fired, it matters less. And I agree, we all should try to make it to where we're not 100% owned by one system. They try entrepreneurship at least once, see what it feels like. They're fine to be the dumbest person in the room. Yes. They ruthlessly protect their time. I would like to have more of my time back. They focus on the outcomes and not KPIs. Holy cow, that is so in the face of my world. Everything's about the KPIs and the SLAs and meeting the requirements and getting judged by the percentages, and that's a good one. They're wildly open to new ideas. They create stuff people want. They learn without being told, and they're humble. And along with this journey of enlightenment and self-awareness, I came across a post on LinkedIn where somebody that I used to work with many years ago just announced that they've become president of a company that's a pretty substantial company, and it's a pretty lofty position. I was like, well, just observing. I've been trying to observe what emotions float through my head and what passes by, and I felt a little bit of envy when I saw that. I felt a little envy with this person who I knew pretty well, and then I stopped and paused. I was like, okay, well, what is that envy rooted in? What am I desiring that this guy's got now? What do I want? What is Andrew displaying that I don't have, that I want, or I feel like I don't have? So I'm just going to, is it the money? Not really. It's not the money. Is it power? It's not really power. And then I realized, as I dug down deeper on all the possibilities of what I'm most likely envying for that Andrew just has, it's just the recognition. I think I lean too much on wanting that recognition, and I lean and that the reverse of that is not receiving criticism or not liking criticism. So learning to detach from that envy, or learning to detach my ego from needing that. That's my challenge goal for, I guess, today and ongoing. But who knows? I'm just here reporting the things I'm observing in reality and the weather. And I'm aware that along with this storm, there's just been in a lot of crazy fires out in California. That currently is not my responsibility to report on. I don't have any work-related duties out there, but that could change next month even. I might find myself in a role where I'm flying out there quite often, and they very likely are watching this one very closely. Definitely affecting the operations out there. But, well, I'll tell you if that goes through, and if next month I am flying to all these different places to continue to do what I do. But for right now, I'm just observing and reporting, not doing anything terribly challenging, and trying to detach myself from that little bit of envy that I'm feeling from an old friend getting promoted up the ladder. and recognized for his success. And I'm glad for his success. Don't think that I don't, that I'm just that bad that I wish that he didn't. I'm glad to see him successful. I'm glad to see his life's going well. Just dealing with that awareness of my own little envy there. That's just something I need to work on. Tell me what you're working on, if you'll be so open. Tell me what challenges you find in this matrix reality, on what you need to improve or go next. Maybe you got nothing to work on. I don't know. But it is a reality, a matrix, changing all the time. I'm grateful that I'm aware of that, and I'm grateful for all the little things that occurs around me. I mean, just this morning, I'm walking from the Fairmont outside, walking to where I need to go at the business, and it's snowing, and it's a beautiful snowfall, and the weather's warm enough that it's not sticky and it's just wet, and I just stopped to like appreciate how beautiful downtown was. Nobody was around, nobody was up, nobody was driving around hardly. I mean, it's just almost dead, and there's just this light snow that almost has a mystical feel about it. So those are the moments to really enjoy and be grateful for. And the more we focus on those things rather than our envy for old friends who get promoted, the better we all shall be. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Just here to observe and report and give updates. And y'all have a great weekend. God bless.